Afternoon everybody, it's Friday afternoon, the sun's shining, the trees are green, the sky's blue and everything's beautiful here in sunny Suffolk, UK. I hope that the sun's shining wherever you are and you've got lots of plans for the weekend. It will soon be Saturday morning. Unfortunately there'll be no detecting for me this weekend. I live on the farm, or a farm I should say, but unfortunately most of the fields, if not all of the fields, are in crop. I'm sure they will start taking them off soon, and we will all be able to get out with our detectors very soon and get detecting and doing what we all enjoy doing. Anyway, waffling already. What is the point of my video? Well, the point of my video is this. I've just been sitting here this morning going through some of my YouTube videos, some which are quite old now, and one stood out like a sore thumb. It's a video I done back in 2019. Or more specifically the beginning of 2019, off the back of me getting my RX in late 2018. I bought it, we come back from Greece, my Deus is still in Greece, we go backwards and forwards, but that's besides the point. I wanted something to use here, and I remember getting Treasure Hunting magazine, turned over the page, and there was the RX on the page, looking all sprauncy, shiny, sleek, and well, quite desirable, I suppose. I thought that's going to be a good machine, and the rest is history, so they say. Without a shadow of a doubt, I still enjoy it, and I've enjoyed it all the years I've been using it. I've had a couple of Bronze Age hoards, I've had a coin hoard, gold, silver coins, and lots of artifacts. So I can't say that it doesn't work for me. And obviously I see what you guys post, and there is some phenomenal things been posted. Again, hoards, and some lovely finds, gold coins, silver coins, and all sorts. Anyway, you know all that. Part of the reason for this video is quite simply, I had a couple of messages again yesterday from new users off the back of me looking at one of the messenger groups in our Facebook group. I don't know if you know they're there. There are some message groups you can have a look and join in. But there are a couple of new users who simply wanted to know the difference between Coin Fast and Coin Deep. And I know this one comes up quite a lot, and a lot of people have their own thoughts on it. So I thought I'd just give you my thoughts. My thoughts are based on my 4 or 5 years using the RX, having worked with XP. I've been lucky enough to work with XP, Gary Blackwell. I've been with the guys at a few of the shows now over the years. So I've asked lots of questions and had lots of answers. But I'm going to put it simply, as I try and do. I don't get too technical, because technical I find just confuses people, including myself. I'm not a technical person. I like to think I've got a bit of common sense. But basically, the difference. Coin Fast, Coin Deep. Well, there's two big vital differences. One vital difference, I should say. Coin Fast was designed to work in mineralised, contaminated ground. And when I say contaminated, I don't mean it's full of nuclear fallout. Obviously, contamination, as far as we're concerned as detectorists, is your bits of tin, your bits of iron, your crisp packets, your sweet wrappers, whatever, you know, all different sorts of metals, lots of targets, and obviously mineralised, minerals in the ground. These can cause most metal detectors to go haywire and sound off. So how do you stop that? Well, manufacturers, when they started making these digital versions, you know, the ones with the remotes, obviously the clever guys with their computers can put a language into these things that can then translate into a program that puts signals into the ground and get signals back, which tells us what the targets might be, how deep they are, and what they might be, you know, tin, iron, gold, silver, whatever. So Coin Fast was designed to work in contaminated, mineralised ground, meaning busy ground, lots of signals. So I suppose in simple terms, what am I trying to say? So it's a tamer program. It can be a lot kinder to your ears. It's a lot more gentler. Coin Deep, on the other hand, was designed to work in uncontaminated and unmineralised ground. So it's a little bit more punchier. People say, is it deeper because it says deep? You know what? The jury's still out after all these years on that. I don't think either one's deeper than the other. I think it's just in the way that they named the programs. Perhaps a little bit lost in translation. from French to English. I don't know, you know, I'm no expert when it comes to that side of it and what they've done and etc. etc. As I say, I can only tell you what I've experienced myself. And what was it, about 18 months ago? No, a bit longer than that now. I found my second Bronze Age hoard with the ORX on the plough line. You know, that's quite deep. That's quite a deep target. I remember it. I think there's a video on there because I got most of it live. I had a bit of a buzzy iron tone, but a lovely sweet tone behind it. And my intuition told me to dig it, and sure enough, the first shovel come out, there was a big old iron nail in there giving the buzz. Once that was out of the way, it was just sweet tone. I went down another shovelful and just caught the glimpse of a little, well, say a lovely Bronze Age axe head that had been laid nicely in the ground. There's pictures on there somewhere if you search. And lots of other bits and pieces. So, coin fast, is it deep, is it not deep? It was deep enough that day. I've done the same with coin deep as well, you know, that's found me some deep targets. They both have. Same as the coils, you know, the X35 coil and the HF coil. Again, different jobs that they can do without getting complicated and trying to complicate things. The HF coil, high frequency, that's what the HF stands for. And I love the 9-inch coil. It's my go-to coil. Seems to cover all bases for me. I generally detect in 14 kilohertz. If an area is very quiet, I'll flick up the kilohertz to 26. I think it goes up to 26.6 is the factory setting. And what will happen basically is it will then start picking up the smaller targets, you know, right down to like air rifle pellet sizes, little bits of silver, little bits of bronze, etc, etc. And that can be quite fun. Cut quarters, etc, etc. And then you get to your X35 coils. And where does that shine? I'll tell you where that shines, and a lot of people don't use this facility a lot. This thing will go down to 4 kilohertz. It'll actually go down to 3.7 kilohertz if you use the little adjustment on the frequency changer. I think there's a video that shows you how to do that as well. But what I was going to say is if I detect with the X35, I generally detect in about 17 kilohertz. That's the sort of general program or the general setup I use. When you come across a target sometimes, you know, an iffy target, so some of you call them, you know, it's got a bit of a buzz around it. Is it something irony? Is it something nice? And you're not too sure. If you drop the kilohertz right down to 4, I tell you what, if that's iron, straight away you'll get that distinctive and that is a brilliant way of telling what it is. Obviously you can't do that with the HF coil, but then you can't go as high with the X35 coil as you can with the HF coil. And it's horses for courses again, you know, there's lots of arguments people have for their preferences, and that's why at the end of the day XP give us all choices. I mean, you know, I've got the 9-inch X35 and the 9-inch X35. Obviously you've got an 11-inch X35 and a 13-inch, which is, you know, quite big. And people say, well, why do they do that? Well, again, it covers more ground if you're quicker, if you want to walk quicker or whatever. There's lots of different reasons why, but that's good, isn't it, that we've all got choices. So hopefully that's not confused anybody, the difference between coin fast and coin deep. I don't think you'll particularly miss much with using either program. From past experience, yes, I used coin deep on the pasture, and maybe I have picked up a few more targets, but only if you're listening. You've got to really listen, and you've got to be in tune with your machine. I always say to people, if you've just got your ORX, you know, people say, oh, what's the best program to find? What's the deepest? Forget about all that. Start off sensibly, and I would always suggest coin fast, depending on what coil you got. Sorry, coin. We all have coins. Got coins on the brain today. HF coil, 14.4 kilohertz. X35 coil, 17 kilohertz in coin fast, and just, you know, out the box, turn it on, and away you go with those frequencies. They are the factory frequencies. You can put the sensitivity up a little bit. What does the sensitivity do? It makes it a little bit more punchy. It's like power into the ground. You can adjust the reactivity. In fact, I was telling somebody the other day, I said trick, and trick's perhaps not the right word. Trick Coin Fast into thinking it's more like Coin Deep, because if you look at the factory presets, Coin Deep has a reactivity of 2, whereas Coin Fast has a factory preset reactivity of 3. So Coin Fast put the reactivity down to 2, and now you're like Coin Deep, and there's a few similarities there. And while we're on the subject of similarities, get my words out now, have a quick drink. I do believe that Coin Fast is born from Deus Fast, the program they put into the Deus 1. There's a lot of similarities I see there. Not sure about Coin Deep. I think that's a bit of a mix-up of a few of the programs, and that's because there is only 2 programs we generally use on the ORX for our artifact and coin hunting over here in the UK and wherever else you are in the world. And I do know a lot of people use the gold programs as well, and they've adapted them for artifacts and coins, but that's another whole chat, that one. So what I'm trying to say is, don't try and get too clever when you get your ORX. Let it do what it can do, what XP have done. That's the reason they've done it. They've set it up and they've made a machine that you can get out of the box, turn on very easily with minor adjustments, and away you go. And I'm not saying you can't do that with the Deus 1 or the Deus 2, because you can do it with most machines, but let's be honest, the ORX is quite a easy machine to get on with, and once you've been out of it a few times, things start to drop, pennies drop, and you understand why you're doing things. And that's another thing that I'd always say to people. I've got one here somewhere. That manual, the RX manual, is 21 pages, and 2 or 3 of those pages are just like telling you what the factory programs are, the accessories. It's a very simple, easy, comprehensive manual to read and use, and I tell you, it's worth reading it cover to cover. Read it 2 or 3 times, because it really does help you understand why you'll be making the tweaks that you will make when you get used to it. And obviously only after you've read it, because so many people today, I see it on the groups, what's the best settings for what's the deepest settings, what's the best settings for my my ABC or whatever, not just the RX, everybody's the same, but whatever metal detector you got, read the manual, learn the manual. The factory settings are there for a reason. They're always the basis of all the programs. The YouTubers come up with these super duper programs. They're all based on factory programs, of course they are. But all I can say, the only advice I can give you is learn it yourself, make the changes yourself, and understand why you're making those changes. And I'll tell you what, that's when your fines rates go up. We're not all blooming computer literate and clever. I mean, I'm terrible. I have to do things myself and play with them myself and learn it myself. And there's no experience like being out in the field. The more you get out there, and so the more you get out of the ORX, the more you'll learn it. And let's think of a parting shot. That video I done 4 odd years ago now, I watched it, and do you know what? All what I said in it still stands today, and that is quite a compliment to XP, I think, because this ORX is still the lightest wireless metal detector in the world. So the other great thing about this, if you've got any problems at all with your joints, you suffer with fatigue, a bit of mobility or whatever, but you still want to get out, you can't beat it. And as I've just said, it's not the hardest machine to learn. Alright, it doesn't work for everybody, because we are all different, If we were all the same, it'd be a bit of a boring world, wouldn't it, I should say. But anyway, that's my parting shot. Everything I said about it, then the video's on YouTube if you want to have a look at it. I use it it is my #1 machine still. As I say, I use the Deus 2, very clever bit of kit, and again, XP have just like up the ante, with everybody else. Multi-frequency is the buzzword at the moment. I still think there's a little bit of tweaking to do there. All the manufacturers seem to be doing updates, XP just done a recent update with the Deus 2. I think that technology's still a little bit raw and new, and there's still a little bit more there for all of them to get their edge round and get right. But you won't go wrong with your ORX. And yeah, that's it. So all I'm going to say is keep enjoying them. If you've got any questions, don't be afraid to message me or one of the other admin or moderators, whatever you. We've got a great bunch of people in the group, and they've all been detecting a long time now, and they are helpful. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to shut up now. Leave you to it. Enjoy the weekend, and I hope I haven't bored or confused anybody anymore. Enjoy your machines, guys and girls. Have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll speak again soon. Bye for now.